Oh, what's going on, you I was gonna say something, but I think it might be really offensive, and I don't want to say that. What's going on, you cookie eaters? That's all I got. That was really PG. Coming at you yet again for yet another r/askreddit. Today, again, we're looking at what are your biggest date fails, as I am enjoying this. Now, as I said in my last video, this has all been one session. We've done this literally 40 minutes straight. I'm running out of battery, so I gotta make this quick. So this one might not be as long, but we'll see. I think we'll be okay. And the reason why is this post looks a little longer. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at Gen X, I believe, from 2 years ago. This post. Here we go. So for the last 5 years, my biggest Tinder fail was when people would look at my profile and see that I am Asian and then not read the very first thing I've written, which is that I'm 5'10", 5'10", and that they would be shocked when I show up at or above eye level. One person had the gall to tell me he had a great time, but I really thought you were more, petite, small in French, while gesturing at my figure and then compacting it. Now, I'm not going to lie, I actually thought this was a guy at first, but I would assume this is a female, because going on a date with guys could be dudes. But just saying they were expecting them to be more petite sounds like a woman, because they would like a petite woman. Just assuming here, okay? I'm going on a whim, okay? Don't blame me here. But that would make sense to me. Small little Asian lady, she's cute, probably a little shorter, guys are into that. That is no longer the worst thing that came out of Tinder. A few months ago, I went on a date with a self-proclaimed communist. He said this loudly in a Chinese restaurant. When asked what kind of communist philosophy he was drawn by, he replied, normal communism, not North Korea communism. And all I could think about was how most communist countries were totalitarian, I can't say it, with regimes who starved their people, and wondered if this is what he meant by normal. He proceeded to douse the stir fry we ordered with chili oil instead of partitioning it off with a partitioning it off a serving for himself and seasoning that. Okay, so instead of making a partition off to the side and seasoning it, he said it to me as particularly classless cherry on top of a heaping crap sundae. Before we get into the last couple points here, that's a really interesting point to make. It would be interesting if you were like, hey, I'm really fascinated by communism and I watch documentaries on it. It's such an interesting concept. I don't really know. I don't really think that would really work, or something I'd be into. But I take a great interest in maybe this kind of stuff, or in political things or whatever, and bring it up as an interest in maybe some kind of regard that way. The way he's saying it, or the poster is saying it here, is that the gentleman said this, and immediately this girl was petrified and was like, dude, what are you doing? You're just yelling this stuff out, man. This isn't great, because these have all failed, and North Korea is notoriously known for not being somewhere for example, me in Canada, I would want to really go to. I might not come out of North Korea. Edit. Here's the rest of the Sunday. His profile says he's 5'9", left-wing political activist. I try to keep political out of my profiles. I'm a little bit more apolitical. I think political is a bit of a waste of time. But there is definitely, you'll hear the term, the far left and the far right. So it's interesting, because I can really get somebody going really, really quickly to be like, okay, cool, maybe I should have avoided this person, or maybe we're not going to cling, because they're going to be so far to this side and I'm so far to the other side. Works for FDNY. I actually don't know what that is. Has picture of him in firefighting gear, so the implication is that he's a firefighter. Interesting. Left-wing firefighter, which is interesting. Reality is that he's a kitchen inspector. Sorry, I don't know why I said soup. He's a kitchen inspector, is maybe 5'7", and proclaims to be a communist despite not knowing jack about it. So basically, he likes to exaggerate, but realistically, he's a liar and kind of dumb. We're off to a great start. Immediately, there was a problem. So, if she found this information out on the date, I'm assuming at this Chinese restaurant, I probably would have just instantly known who I was talking to. I would have been like, okay, cool, he's got a picture of a firefighter, but he's not a firefighter. Maybe that was a costume. Maybe he volunteered. I don't know. right? But like the moment you start lying on your profile like that, you have no credibility. He shows up drunk, not tipsy drunk, but she could smell the vodka on him. Oh, sorry, not tipsy. Sorry, I read that wrong. He shows up drunk, not tipsy. Like tipsy could be like, you know, you're two-stepping, right? You've had a couple quick ones, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm feeling good, I'm loose. He was drunk. I smelled the vodka on him. As I've said before many times in this channel, and I'll say it again, that's absolutely disrespectful to me. If you show up to a date and you clearly can't be there and be responsible and present yourself in a professional manner to some degree. I'm not saying you need to come up in a suit and tie. I'm saying that you need to show up and be like, hey, you know what? Like, it's almost like an interview, right? You wouldn't show up to an interview pissed drunk. You would show up to an interview respectful. If you have a drink at home, you have a quick drink just to take the edge off or just a quick shot, that's one thing, right? I can get that. But that's ridiculous. I would have left the moment he showed up drunk. If I could smell booze off somebody, like if I went to a date and I could smell booze off her, and I'm like, hey, have you been drinking? And she was like, oh yeah, like I'm loaded. As I showed up here, I would have been like, all right, good. Hey, listen, you know what? All respect to you, but like I'm gonna head out. I would literally leave. Because I'm like, if you can't show up to a date at least sober, like why am I wasting my time here? That's crazy. Okay, I think it gets worse. We go to a soup dumpling restaurant in Queens, okay, so New York, proceeds to get extremely loud in the following, declaring himself the communist, okay, whistling for the waitress. Yeah, I would say that's a bit disrespectful. I think that was a thing you see in movies that happened in the past. I don't think you do that nowadays. You would probably just raise your hand. Hey, you just be like, you know, you could just be like that. You could just wave her down or something. You could just say, excuse me. That's usually a pretty responsible thing to do. Apparently he was making fun of an older gentleman for looking like he stepped out of the 70s. He might have jumped out of the 70s. We don't know. And recalling his past experience as a line cook for Zion's famous foods. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, the restaurant there. Okay, interesting. So he's kind of like bragging himself up, which might be an ego. Making fun of an old person, so being disrespectful to somebody for no apparent reason, just because you want to be a dink. Interesting. Okay, a lot of red flags here. I don't know how this lady's still here. The last item isn't so much an issue, but somehow it made him an expert on Chinese cuisine, more so than me, someone of Chinese heritage. All the aunties and uncles in the restaurant shot me looks that roughly translate to, why have you brought this trash in here? Oh, okay, sorry. I thought there was something after that explaining that. Okay, so just the fact that he bragged about the famous foods place, it was like supposedly that he's a big expert on Chinese cuisine. I'm sorry, this one's going to be longer because there's just a lot to talk about here. That's really interesting. And it's also the fact that all the people in the place were giving responses of like facial responses to this, of being like, you know, like I'm affiliated with this guy right now. Due to his superior knowledge in Chinese cuisine, he proceeds to order for me. Now in a soup dumpling restaurant, there's typically at least two variants. One that is purely land animal, pork, beef, sometimes lamb, and the other is surf and turf. The after mentioned mixed with shrimp, crab, sometimes lobster. Okay, so like one, okay, I get that. Like one is land, one is, okay, cool. So like someone could be like not into seafood, so they would obviously get one or the other. Most Chinese people I know will go for the latter, since it's hella tasty. I order my own set of pork and crab souplings, and he tells the waitress, no, she'll just have the pork. My mind breaks a little. I'm grasping. I got to come back to this. I just want to read through it all because I want to kill up time here. I'm sorry. Just had to burp there. I'm grasping at any reason for this insane indistraction. I can't say that word. Is he allergic? Did he have a bad experience with the crab option previously? When the dumplings finally come, I ask him, and he answers, okay, here we go. I hate the taste of seafood, but they're my own dumplings. Yeah, well, I didn't want to taste it when we're making out later. Oh! All right. Let me just dissect that. So, okay. He orders for you, okay? So this sounds like it was a first date, okay? This has to be a first date. So immediately, red flags all over the place. This is the biggest one. I would have left. I would have literally excused myself and been like, hey, excuse me, I'm going to go. Cancel the order for me. He's getting his stuff. Take it easy. He's absolutely possessive and controlling. The fact that he ordered for her and didn't even give her the option is ridiculous. And the fact of the matter that he actually vocally said it, that I don't, like, she's going to take this. on the order. Like, she was like, yeah, I'll take crab and and the pork. And he literally told the waitress, no, she's gonna have just the pork. I would have been like, no, I am gonna have that. And if he insisted, I would have left. I would have literally told the waitress, I'm sorry, he'll be grabbing it. Thank you very much. I'm gonna head out. That's ridiculous. And the fact of the matter at the end of it, that he explained that I don't like the taste of seafood because I don't want to taste that when we're making out later, just shows an absolute ego and the expectation he already had, that he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be making out with this girl. Like, like, get out. 5, we're almost done, I swear. Told me I've never had real tea, LOL. I can't take that necessarily as a bad thing, but it's kind of a weird comment to be like, yo, you haven't had real tea, bro. Have you? And his ruse for trying to get me back to his apartment was for me to taste his homemade kombucha. I think that's a drink. I'm pretty sure we sold that at Costco. Okay, so yeah, I'll just give a final response on that. That's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that she didn't bail immediately is surprising to me. He sounds made up. He sounds like an ego is inflated. His expectations were way too high, possessing and controlling immediately. Dangerous, get out, block. Don't deal with that. Don't deal with that. Don't put yourself through that. That is absolutely insane. Insane. Okay, thanks for watching. I think I made enough points on that. We're going to move on to one very last one, and we're going to call it a night. Go back to Guild Wars 2. Thank you. Peace.